I'm going to go over how to convert a repeating decimal to a fraction again. And I changed the steps up a bit to try to make it easier because I noticed that some of you, when you submitted the homework yesterday, it didn't make sense or you were a little confused. Some of you just wrote something because you didn't watch the videos, and I can tell that too. Again, I want to reiterate, guys, that the videos, those are your notes, and you must take notes. All your notes are going to be worth 100 points each for this week. So you're going to get 500 points from them. They're going to count more than the assignments that I assign. So make sure you have them when I get back, okay? So if you didn't watch the video like you were supposed to yesterday, I would suggest you go back and take those notes because your grade's going to drop if not when I return. Okay, so I changed the notes up a little bit. So let's take a look at this. We're going to do this first. We're going to set the decimal equal to x. And I'm just going to make up one where we can do it on the side, okay? And we're going to call this step 1. Suppose I make up something like this. Let's set it equal to x. Okay, that's step 1. All right, then it says to get from step 1 to step 2, using a power of 10, you're going to multiply the decimal in step 1 so that the repeating part digit is in front of the decimal. Okay? Then it says you're going to make sure you multiply x by the power of 10 too. And this is going to make one equation. So let's just take this chunk by chunk. So let's start off with the first chunk. Using the power of 10, multiply the decimal in step 1 so that the repeating digit is in front of the decimal. So let's do that chunk. Okay? So let's just talk about going from step 1. I'm going to label it like this. From step 1 to step 2. I'm going to go ahead and write down the equation in step 1, okay? That's the original equation in step 1. And write it down. But what I want to do is multiply that by a power of 10 so that the repeating part is in front. So I'm going to ask you what digit is repeating. Well, everybody should see that 8 is repeating. So I just need to get an 8 in front of the decimal. So in other words, I need to move my decimal right here, guys. Well, to move my decimal from here to here, I just need to multiply both that by 10, right? But now it goes on and says, make sure that you multiply x by that power of 10 too. So if I multiply that by 10, I got to multiply the x by 10. And that's going to make one equation. So if I multiply this 0.8888 by 10, I get a new equation. Okay? I get 8.88 blah, 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 blah. Okay, so if I multiply here, I get that. I get this. Multiply that by 10, I get that. If I multiply this by 10, I get 10x. Okay, so that creates that one equation that I'm talking about. So I want to remember this. That's what I'm focusing on. So now go on from step 1 to step 3. And I'm just going to color code these guys. I've done that. So now I want to move from step 1 to step 3. So step 1, this is step 1, guys. That was the equation in step 1. It says multiply, using the power of 10, multiply the decimal in step 1, which I wrote step 1 down, so that only all of the repeating digits are behind the decimal. So what digits are repeating? Well, only the 8s are repeating. Well, what's behind the decimal already? Only 8s are behind the decimal. So I got all the repeating part and only all of it behind the decimal. So I don't multiply by anything. Don't change anything. So since you look at this side and now only all the 8s are already behind the decimal, then that stays, and also x stays. You don't change anything. So we're going to use this. Love you. Thanks. Have a good day at work, okay? Be careful. I will. We're going to use this. It says this makes a second equation. We're going to use this as our second. Let me code it. We're going to use this as our second equation. We're not changing a thing. Why? Because only all of the repeating digits are already behind the decimal. So I don't have to change anything. I get to keep the decimal and the x. So I'm just going to focus on this. So I've done step 1, I set it equal to x. I went from step 1 to step 2. Okay, I got that new equation. I went from step 1 to step 3. I did that right here. It wasn't a new equation. I just kept the equation because all of my digits that were repeating were only behind the decimal. Now it goes down here and says stack them. So I'm going to stack that new equation from here and here. I'm going to stack those two. So let's stack what we have. It's going to take the two that I have. That's 8. I want a little more room. Come on. When I say stack them, I mean stack the two equations. So 8.888 blah, blah, blah equals to 10x. I'm just pulling this stuff from right here. And then I'm going to pull this where it has don't change anything. I'm going to pull the same thing. And when I say stack them, line the decimals up. And I know this has 4 8s, but this only has 3. I don't care. Dot, dot, dot means it still has more 8s. And then I write my x. And in front of the x, I can put an imaginary 1. So I got them stacked, and then it says subtract them. I'm going to subtract here and here. So on this side, 8 minus 8 is 0, 8 minus 8 is 0, 8 minus 8 is 0, and 8 minus 0 is 8. On this side, 10x's minus 1x's is 9x's. And then it says solve them. So I'm going to divide to get x by itself to solve. These cancel, so 8/9 is equal to x. Now, it's already simplified, so I don't have to simplify, okay? Now, if you'll look, 8 is smaller than 9. You only change it to a mixed number if the top number is larger. Suppose it were 9 over 8. Then I would change it to 1 and 1/8. But you leave it like this because 8 is smaller than 9, so you're good. Okay? That's it. So let's see if we can do some more, okay? All right. Step 1 here is to set this equal to x. So I'm going to go from step 1 to step 2. I'm going to write this equation down. That's the equation from step 1. Now to get to step 2, I just got to figure out, what do I have to multiply that decimal by, and what do I got to multiply this x by? What do I multiply this decimal by so that the repeating digit is in front of the decimal? So I just need to get the 4 in front of the decimal. Get a 4 in front of the decimal, I just need to put the decimal right there. So move it over once. That means I'm multiplying by 10. But it says to make sure we multiply the x by the power of 10 too. So if I multiply by 10 on one side, I got to multiply by 10 on the other side. So it's going to give me a new equation. So it's going to change this to 4.444, blah, 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 blah. And over here, that's what I get when I multiply by 10 over here. When I multiply this side by 10, that side of the equal sign by 10, I get 10x. Okay. Now I just need to go from step 1 to step 3. So I'm going to write step 1 down again. This is all step 1. And let's see what it says up here, step 1 and step 3. Using the power of 10, multiply the decimal in step 1 so that only all of the digits of the repeating digits are behind the decimal. Well, if you look, what else is behind the decimal besides all the 4s, the repeating 4s? Nothing. So this equation stays the same. You don't change a thing. Okay? And then I can go to this part down here. Now let's stack. Let's stack them. So I'm going to take this one and stack it over that one. 4, this is the stack part. 0.444, blah, 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 equals to 10x. And I'm going to stack it over this one, which means you're just lining the decimals up, guys. I'm keeping the x. Just keep this whole thing. I'm able to put a 1 there. Then after you stack, you're supposed to subtract. So he says subtract. And let's subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. 4 minus 4 is 0. 4 minus 4 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. On this side, 10x minus 1x is 9x. Then after you subtract, it says solve. Get x by itself, so divide both sides by 9. So we end up with 4/9 is equal to x. It's already in simplest form, so that's it. Don't change it to an improper fraction because a mixed number because the top number is not bigger than the bottom. Hopefully that helps a bit, guys. Okay, let's go on and look at, and I would show you the shortcut, but I think a lot of you maybe didn't watch my video yesterday. So we're going to keep practicing the long method. Okay, on number 2, I'm going to fix something because the bar indicates that it keeps going. So before I do number 1, I'm going to fix this because this bar indicates that it repeats 5. So I'm going to rewrite it like this. And I'm going to set that equal to x. So this is going to be part 1, okay? And then I'm going to go step 1 to step 2. And then I can go from step 1 to step 3. So I just need to get, I'm going to write step 1 down in both of them. That looks like a 6. Let me fix that. I'm just going to go ahead and put this part down because I know I got to have step 1 in both of them to multiply by something in most cases. Okay, so now what do I do to this? This is what I got from step 1 to get the repeating part in front of the decimal. So I just need the repeating part, only the 5. I just need a 5 in front of the decimal then. So that means I just need to multiply by 10. But I do it to the x too. So the new equation is going to be 5.555, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then this x times 10 is 10x. So that's one equation. Then I go over here from step 1 to step 3. Step 1 and step 3 says multiply, using the power of 10, multiply so that in step 1, the decimal in step 1, using the power of 10, multiply the decimal in step 1 so that only all of the repeating digits are behind the decimal. Well, let's look and see if that's already done. Look at all the repeating digits. Only all of them are already behind the decimal. Okay? This is already done. I don't have to multiply by anything. So I keep it the same. There are no other digits behind that decimal besides the 5. The 5 is the only thing that's repeating, and only the 5s are behind the decimal. So after that, I just stack them. So I'm going to take this and stack it with this. This means I line the decimals up, guys. Put a 1 there. 5 minus 5, 0, 0, 0. 5 minus 0, 5. Because after you stack, you're supposed to subtract. I'm sorry, I went on. 10x is minus 1x is 9x. And after you subtract, you're supposed to solve. Divide both sides by 9. And 5 is smaller than 9. It's not improper, so you just leave it like that. It's already simplified. Now, if you watched my video yesterday and you understand the shortcut, do the shortcut. Okay, let's take a look at 3. 3, I'm going to set this equal to x. And make sure you're pausing the video and taking notes. Remember, these notes are worth 100 points, guys. All right, so this is all step 1. So again, I'm going from step 1 to step 2. Then I want to go from step 1 to step 3. And I'm just going to write step 1 down in both of them, okay? Just write step 1 in both of them. So now I have just asked myself, well, what's repeating? What's repeating in this problem? Well, 1 and 7. So I need to get the decimal right there. So I have a 1 and a 7 in front, which means I'm multiplying by 100. So I multiply both sides by 100. So if you multiply this side by 100, you get 17, 17, 17, blah, blah, blah. I mean, those dots means they keep going. The 17 keeps going. All right, and then 100 times x is 100x. Now let's go over here. Step 1 and step 3, the 17 is repeating, and my job is to get only the repeating part behind the decimal. Well, what else is back there besides a 1 and a 7? Nothing. So you keep it the same. And then you're going to stack them. So I'm going to take this equation and stack it with the one I'm keeping. Stack them just means line the decimals up. I'm able to put a 1. That's a 1, okay? Then after you stack them, you can subtract them. On this side, these just turn to 0. 17 minus 0 is 17. 100x is minus 1x is 99x. Then after you subtract, you're supposed to solve. So I'm going to divide both sides by 99. 17 is smaller than 99, and it's already in simplest form, so I just leave it as that. All right, let's take a look at number 4. Make sure you're pausing the video and writing this down. I'm going to rewrite it. That's 5, 4 repeating, so I'm going to rewrite it like this and set that equal to x, okay? All right, so now I'm going to go from step 1 to step 2 and step 1 to step 3. I'm going to write step 1 down in each one of them because I got step 1 here and step 1 here. Just write the equation with the x. Okay. Then in step 1 and step 2, it says, if you go back and look up here, step 1 and step 2. Using the power of 10, multiply the decimal in step 1 so that the repeating digit, or I should say digits, are in front of the decimal, guys. So what digits are repeating? Well, the 5 and the 4 are repeating, so I want the decimal to move right here. That means I need to multiply. I need to move it twice and then multiply by 100 and multiply x by 100 too. So that's going to give me 54.1 0.54, and 54 repeats, guys. And 100 times x is 100x. Okay, now I'll move on to step over here. Let's move over here, guys. Now in this part, to get from step 1 to step 3, I need to get only the repeating digits behind the decimal. Well, I see 5 and 4, 5 and 4. I see nothing else but 5 and 4 already behind the decimal, so I keep this. So I'm going to use this equation to stack with this equation. That just means you just line your decimals up, okay? And put your imaginary one there. After you stack them, you're going to subtract them. These cancel. 54 minus 0 is 54. 100x's minus 1x leaves us with 99x's. And then I'm going to solve, which means you just get x by itself. So divide both sides by 99. So 54 over 99 is already in simplest form. And you just leave it like that, and that's all you do. Now, if you know the shortcut, use it. I taught it yesterday in the video. All right, you're going to have to pay particular attention to numbers 6 and 7, okay? They're different. Because you won't be keeping that second one. When you go from step 1 to step 3, you know how in examples 1, 2, 3, and 4, we've been keeping that step 1. You're not going to do that from step 1 to step 3 in number 6 and 7. So let me erase this so we have enough room. We'll get started. Make sure you have everything written down. Okay, so I'm going back. I'm going to set this equal to x. This is step 1. Okay, so I'm going to go from step 1 to step 2. Then I want to go from step 1 to step 3, guys. Because step 1 is in both of them, I'm going to write this down in both of them. Go over here and write it down too. Okay, now you have to consider what digit is repeating. Everybody can see that the 6 is repeating. So from step 1 to step 2, I just need to get a 6 in front of the decimal. So I need to move my decimal right there, and I got a 6 in front of it. A meaning 1. 1, 2, 3. If you multiply by 3, then you multiply by 1,000, because 1,000 has the 3 zeros. So I multiply x by 1,000. And that's going to give me the new equation. I'm going to call it NE, guys, because I'm being lazy. 916 point, a bunch of sixes. I'm not going to write 3 6s. I'm going to write 4. And x times 1,000 is 1,000x. Okay, so that's how I get that equation. So I'm going to have to keep this one in mind because it's going to have to be stacked with the other one. Okay, now it says, and from step 1 to step 3, I need only the repeating digits behind the decimal. Keyword only. Okay. So if I look, I got a 9 and a 1 behind the decimal, but the 9 and the 1 are not repeating. The 6s are, so I need only the 6s behind the decimal. So what do I do to get only the 6s behind the decimal? It's pretty simple. Just move your decimal here, and then you have only the 6s behind the decimal. But if you move your decimal here, you're multiplying by 100 because you're starting at 2 places. So 100 has 2 zeros. But if you multiply that side by 100, you also have to multiply x by 100. So I'm going to get the equation 91 and then a bunch of 6s. I will not write 3. And then 100 times x, or x times 100 is 100x. So this is my other equation. So these are the two equations I'm going to stack. So I hope we all understand the whole goal is to get only the repeating part behind the decimal from step 1 to step 3. It just so happens that up here, the repeating digits are 1 and 7, and they're already the only things behind the decimal. So you don't change a thing. That's why you keep the X and just you're able to put a 1 in front of it. But down here, the 9 and the 1 are in the way, so you don't have only the repeating part behind the decimal. So to get only the 6's behind the decimal, you move it 1, 2, which is multiplying by 100. But you got to do that by X as well. Now let's stack them, guys. 916, a bunch of 6's, and 1000X, and then 91 and a bunch of 6's, and 100X. After you stack them, you're supposed to subtract them. Cancel. 9 minus 1, it meant 6 minus 1 is 5. I can't start off with 1 and take away 9, so I'll regroup. 11 minus 9 is 2, that's 8. And then 1000X's minus 100X's is 900X's. And after this, you're supposed to solve. So get X by itself, you divide both sides by 900. And that's going to leave me with 825 over 900 equal to X. I'm going to divide both of these by 25. I need a little more room. By quarters. How many quarters make $8.75 and 25 cents? So 4 quarters make $1. So 8 of those 4 would be 32. Plus another quarter would make $8.25. That's 33. Okay, how many quarters make $9? Well, 4 quarters make $1. So I would need that 9 times. 4 times 9 is 36. Then I could divide both of these by 3. That gives me 11 over 12. And that's what X equals. 11/12 in simplest form. I hope this makes more sense with me chunking it like this, guys. Okay, let's look at this one. So on number 7, if you have a whole number, you can just ignore it to start off with. I'm not going to set that part equal to X. What I'm going to do is just change that. I know I'm going to have the whole number 2. And so I already know 2 is going to sit like that. It's that big part of the mixed number. Then I get a fractional part. So what I'm going to do is rewrite number 1 as 0.01414 ... I'm going to rewrite it like that because I know that 2 is already going to be my whole number. So I don't need it when I set it equal to X. You can change the 2 to a 0 because you already know 2 is going to be a 2 right here, okay? Okay, so I'm just going to change that 2 to a 0 because I don't need the 2. I already know it's going to be the big part of my mixed number. And I'm just going to work with that. Okay, so now I'll just do step 1 to step 2. And then I'll do step 1 to step 3. And I got step 1 in both, so I'm going to write that down. But again, don't write the 2, write it with the 0. In step 1 and step 2, it says get the repeating digits in front of the decimal. Well, the 1 and the 4 and they're repeating, so I need a 1 and a 4 in front of the decimal. So I need to move my decimal there. So that's 3 places, which helps me to see I'm multiplying both that decimal and the x by 1,000. So that's going to make the new equation 1, 4. I don't need that 0. I can drop those zeros when I move it. 1, 4, 1, 4, blah, blah, blah. And then this is 1,000x. So that's going to be one equation that I'm going to use when I stack. And then this step 1 to step 3 says get only the repeating digits behind the decimal. So this 0 is like throwing me off. If I didn't have the 0, I would only have the 1 and the 4s behind the decimal. So I just need to move my decimal here, which means, hold on guys, move it here, which means I just need to move it one spot. So I'm going to multiply by 10 because the 10 has 1 0. Multiply x by 10. And so I don't need those. Once I move it, I don't need these zeros. Well, I could keep that one. Hold on. I don't need this 0. So that's going to be 0.1414 ... equals to 10x. And these are the two equations I'm going to stack, guys. All right, so I have 14.1414 blah, blah, blah equals to 1,000x. And I'm going to stack it with the other one, which just means just line your decimals up. And I got 10x's. Then after you stack, you're supposed to subtract. 0, 0, 0. 14 minus 0 is 14. And then I have 1,000 x's minus 10 x's. Oh, that's a 10. Sorry. That's 990 x's. Let me write that a little better. And then after you subtract, you're supposed to solve, get x by itself. So you're going to divide by 990. Why do I keep writing 900? These will cancel. So I have 14 over 990. Both of them are even, so I'm going to divide by 2. Half of 14 is 7. Half of 990 is 445. And that's in simplest form. So I'm done. All right. Hopefully that helped, guys. All right, so let's go into converting each to a decimal. To convert these to a decimal, number 1, you TIBO, and then you add a decimal and a 0, and then you just continue to divide it on out, okay? So top and bottom out, guys. This is easy. It's just a recap of what we did last week. Then I'm going to add a decimal and a 0, bring a decimal up, and then we can start dividing. So I'm just going to skip count over here by 12s. 60, 72. 12 times 7 is 84. 12 times 8 is 96. 12 times 9 is 108. Okay. So I can't get any groups of 12 out of 1. Write a 0, subtract a 0. Bring down, start over. I can't get any groups of 12 out of 11. Write a 0, subtract a 0. Bring down the 0. How many groups of 12 can I get out of 110? That would be 9. Subtract 108. I'm going to have to regroup here. Add a 0, bring it down. How many groups of 12 can I get out of 20? Well, that would be only 1. Going to have to regroup again. How many groups of 12 can I get out of 80? Well, that would be 6. That's 72. Regroup again, guys. And as you can see, the 8, my remainder of 8 is starting to repeat, which should help me to see that my 6 is going to start to repeat. So I'm just going to put ... Or you can just write this as 0.916 with the bar with a 6. I would just go that way, that route, okay? Okay, let's take a look at number 9. Number 9, you can change this to an improper fraction. You can say 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 plus 3 is 19, and write this as 19/8, and you can T-bow that. I prefer not to do that. I am going to keep the 2 because I know it's a whole number. And whatever, I'm going to figure out what 3/8 is by T-bowing it, and I'll put that answer behind the decimal right here. Okay, so let's see. 8 into 3. Add a decimal and a 0. Bring the decimal up. And I'm going to skip count by 8. 56. That's enough. Okay. All right, 8 won't go in a 3, so I write a 0, subtract a 0. It will go in a 33 times. I think I'm going to need to go out some more. All right, so that becomes a 2, and that becomes a 10. That's 6. Bring down a 0. 8 goes into 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. That's 56. Then I have to regroup again. That becomes a 5, and that becomes a 10. That's 4. Add a 0. And it will go exactly 5 times. Now, whatever is behind the decimal here goes behind the decimal here. So the 3, the 7, and the 5 go there. So this just ends up being 2.375. And that's all you do. All right, let's move on. And make sure you're pausing the video, especially if I'm going too fast for you, okay? And of course, I know you're going to have to do that in order to take notes. Last two, we're going to convert each to a fraction. So just got to remember place value. So you need to remember tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, and so forth. Okay, guys? I'm not going to keep going with it. Well, this ends in the thousandths place. So you're going to write this as 275 over 1,000. And I'm going to divide each by 25 because it tells me to simplify. So I'm just going to think about how many quarters make $2.75. Well, 4 quarters make $1, so 8 of them make 2. I got to make 75 more cents. So I'm going to add. So those 8 quarters that make 2, I'm going to add 3 to make $2.75. So let's see, 11 quarters make $2.75. If you don't know it, draw it out. How many quarters make $1? 4, and I'm going to add this 0. So in simplest form, it's 11/40. All right, here 9 ends in the hundreds place. This is your whole number. Write it as a big number. And then 49 over 100ths. And it's already in simplest form, so you're done. All right, so that's your review for Standard 8 NS1. So what I want you to do now is go back and work on the assignment number 2, okay? That's on Google Classroom on the classwork tab. Thank you.